Michael Carrell is in the studio with us. What's up, Michael?
Hello.
Michael.
Thank you for that nice transition you had at the end of the last segment. I really appreciate it. Sean, you know how much I appreciate that guy? I appreciate him a ton.
Oh, a ton.
Because that was so nice.
It was very nice.
Terrible transition.
It was so good.
It's pure
heartfelt
radio phony.
I don't know. It was radio gold to me.
I don't even remember what I said. I just was embarrassed as soon as the final word left my lips.
I didn't know you cared so much, Del.
It was less about you and more about my own self-esteem, honestly. Didn't like it, even when I said it. And then when I eventually finished the sentence, like, ugh.
I thought it was good.
It's fine. It's fine.
I'm just saying.
I appreciate Michael Carrell being in here with us because he is someone who gives us advice about what not to watch and what to watch. I'll ask you this because Comicast is out, the latest one, and it's a lot about what happened at D23, some footage that is generally leaked, and that's how you see it. So now it's part of what you guys do. You have to be someone who has seen this footage. I am one who refrains because I wait to see it in the way they intended to, as opposed to some grainy thing with a phone camera pointed at the screen. Now I get why it has to be done for you guys. Understand? If you weren't doing Comicast, would you wait for it to be released through an official channel on YouTube, or are you always someone looking for a leak?
I would probably wait. I'm more of the guy that just would wait for the HD version once it's released, especially because it's only going to be another month or two for some of those trailers to come out. But yeah, since I'm in the Comicast lane, there was somebody that commented, shout out to Derf Designs. He was like, he was the same way. He was like, I'm not bringing myself to watch the bootleg version. I was like, no worries. That's why I'm here. I will jump in for you. And I might have watched a bunch of grainy footage.
Yeah. I wouldn't care about Mariners scores, but I do this. It's the same thing. I don't care much about the Mariners except they are in direct competition with the Astros. So I get why you did it. So from all the footage, whether it be Daredevil, Born Again, Captain America, Brave New World, which actually has an official trailer, Agatha All Along has one too, Fantastic Four, some of the things you guys talked about, and Ironheart. Which one had you most intrigued from all the footage you saw?
Hands down, Daredevil. Okay. Daredevil Born Again, because it's a continuation of season 3, because it looks and feels very much like what the Netflix show did back. I guess the last season was 2018, 2019. So it encapsulates what we were hoping for. Initially, the show was going to be very different, wasn't going to bring back everybody. They fired the writer's room. They changed the creative completely. And now it's more in line with what we got with the Daredevil Netflix show. So it looks and feels that way. Dark, gritty. It showcased a new villain, and a new hero that we'll be dealing with. But also, you saw Vincent D'Onofrio's Wilson Fisk, of course. You saw Karen Page and Foggy Nelson, played by Deborah Ann Wool, and Eldon Henson. You saw John Berthnall. You saw Wilson Bethel. You saw a lot of the characters from this Netflix Daredevil show, and it looks good. It looks really, really good. And I can't wait to watch it when it comes out, which is March 2025.
I'm going to go deep into my bag here. You mentioned Eldon Henson. He was one of the Bash brothers from the Mighty Ducks.
Yes.
The original Mighty Ducks movie. So if you don't recognize the name, which understandable, recognize the actor's role. Mm-hmm. He was one of the Bash brothers.
He's one of those guys that you see him and it's like, oh, I know that guy.
Yeah, is that guy, that face. Yeah. You recognize that face. So Daredevil is the clear winner. Did you happen to see any of the Thunderbolts footage?
Yes, okay. I eventually did. That one was a little harder to see, but that one, it also looks good. It also looks, I know a lot of comparisons are to Suicide Squad, but it has a more like Captain America Brave New World feel to it, at least with this initial footage. Sure. I know it's not going to stay like that because of certain characters that they're introducing, but it looks unique compared to what you would expect from like a Suicide Squad or something like that.
Yeah, I guess for me, after all of the, whether you want to call them aliens, Thor is, and for most, we can call him an alien. He's from out of this world, or just superpowered people. Sure, I love the superhero stuff, but I'm probably in the mood for some more grounded stuff where it's, you want to call them street level heroes or villains. I'm into that. You want to have a special skill, I'm cool. Taskmaster, we'll see how that plays out in this one. And also, Ghost is in this too. If you remember that character from Ant-Man
and the Wasp,
Ant-Man and the Wasp, yeah.
Yeah.
So she is back. So I like that story. Now, how effective it is in this setting, we'll see. But some of that stuff is out there for you to see if you decide you want to get on Twitter and find it. It's there in grainy, less than HD quality, but that's cool.
Yeah, you might see somebody pop up in the middle of the screen.
It might be a
It's
head
fine.
somewhere, or someone's hand, or some wooing, depending on who's watching.
Yeah, it depends.
So, of all the things that you enjoyed, you listed a couple of them. Anything you're like, all right, that's not hitting me in a way that I like?
I would say the animation part of things, like obviously X-Men 97, that's fine. That I love that. What if I'm better about after season 2 than I was season 1? Didn't really care for season 1 as much as others. The thing that I'm like still like I don't know about is the Spider-Man animated show that they're delivering. Coleman Domingo is going to voice Norman Osborn, which cool. I like that actor. I think he's a phenomenal actor. But I don't know about Marvel animation because they tend to lean so much on what we know about the MCU that
they don't do anything different.
Yeah, it hinders because they want to connect.
Everything needs to be connected.
Yeah, and in a show like What If, the whole point is to tell these what if this happened, what if that happened, but they adhere too much to the MCU like rules. And I think with the Spider-Man show, it initially set out to do that, but now it seems like it's not as much. So I'm curious, but I'm not over the moon about it. Also, they showed Marvel Zombies, which is a continuation from What If season 2. That's another one where I'm like, I mean, cool. Like, I don't. It sounded cool, the footage that they described, but it's not a show that I'm like really looking forward to. And that show, along with Eyes of Wakanda, which I am looking forward to that, but both shows are only going to be 4 episodes. I think there's a problem there in terms of just like they're described as event series, which okay, cool, but where I feel like I should have something more to invest in. You know, and I think there's more opportunities you can do with animation, kind of like with what DC does with their animation. Their animation, I think, stands heads and shoulders above.
So you've watched enough Batman Cape Crusader to be all in on it?
I've watched enough, and I finished it.
Okay.
And I liked it.
Okay.
I wasn't sure about it, and then episode 4 kind of really hooked me in what they were telling the story overall. It's not going to be for everybody because of the 1940s feel to it.
Yeah.
It leans heavily into that, and they do change some things. There's not a lot of villains that people are necessarily going to know. Like, there is the Penguin at first, but outside of that, you're getting into villains like Automatopoeia. You're getting into Firefly, which some people may know, but I
know that only because I watched Gotham.
That's like a C-level tier villain. There's a couple others that, of course, the Mob, but it's low-level villains. So that can also kind of take people off of it a little bit. And this Batman is very early on, kind of like the Robert Pattinson's The Batman.
Sure.
But it's him learning not only just in terms of crime fighting, but also managing his relationships with like Alfred and the police and all that.
He is less emo than Pattinson's Batman.
Less emo, more like plays up the Playboy billionaire.
The billionaire Playboy stuff.
He plays that up a whole lot more. But his relationship with Alfred is very standoffish, which we haven't seen. I don't think too much.
I don't know if we've seen much of that in any.
He's typically
media.
By the point that you see him, it's typically the father-son almost relationship. In this one, it's very standoffish. He chews him out multiple times and treats him like hired help. And it's an interesting how that relationship grows over the course of the season.
So that was some of what you can hear on issue 551 of Comicast. You can hear the rest of that, obviously, on Spotify, Apple, or a little bit later tonight. So, recommendations. I don't know if it's a strong or weak week. You can obviously determine that. So, if you were giving us what you should watch, if you're at home or you need to go to the movies and watch it, what would you pick?
Well, sadly, Horizon American Saga Chapter 2 delayed from this weekend.
That's a real shame.
Oh, darn. I know. Sean Mapes is thumbs down on that. It's very disappointing that they moved it. Yeah, see? He's very disappointed. Sadly, that movie is not coming out this weekend. I don't know when it will be released. So, I guess I have to pick some other movie to be the top pick of the weekend.
It's a real shame, yeah.
And I guess I have to pick Alien Romulus because that movie looks awesome.
It does.
The movie looks awesome.
I've seen some people push back on it because they love the what was the robot's name in Covenant and Prometheus? What was Michael Fassbender's character's name? David.
David.
People wanted to see the David trilogy. I'm like, I can do it. I can do it that. I am in. Whether I see it this weekend or maybe sometime in the next week, I'm watching Alien Romulus. It feels like, oh yeah, this is what an alien movie should look like and feel like. So
Yeah.
I'm in, despite, for the most part, the reviews have been positive. I just happened to be scrolling through my timeline and saw a little bit of people wanting a little bit different, but I didn't want anything different if this is what they're giving me.
Fetty does something, like the first two acts are very much.
So you've seen the whole thing.
I haven't seen the whole thing.
Oh.
This is just from my
reviews?
understanding and reviews and everything. It's the third act that has left people divisive on whether they love it or whether they are not as amped about it.
Okay.
And there's been descriptions of fan service in certain moments. I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think fan service is inherently a bad thing, especially because I don't know that everyone's going to catch all the Alien references.
Got it.
You know, this is Alien. The first one was released in 1979. I wasn't alive. A lot of people that are going to be seeing it probably weren't around to watch it in theaters necessarily. Maybe, I mean, that's not
when we're talking about IP that is that old, it ain't gonna be fan service to the person who might just be interested in seeing a horror movie in space.
Yeah,
They might not get all the references, so it might be their first time being introduced to a series like this. Maybe they didn't care for the Covenant Prometheus duo, and this is an Alien with actors they recognize for the first time that they want to watch. So I'm with you there. Fan service is one thing, but the thing has been around for 30 plus years.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
You're speaking to, in some cases, an entire new audience.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm like, I don't think that's going to be a bad thing. I mean, I have to see it for myself, but inherently, I don't think that that's a bad thing for this movie, especially because I think Fetty's a good director, and what he's done with it, I think it just looks and feels like the original more than anything that has come from it. Everything else after it has gone to different, Aliens, the follow-up, was an action movie more than a horror movie.
Yeah.
And certain ones have towed the line of horror, but towed the line of action. This one is horror straight up, and I like that.
I said 30 plus years. We're talking about 40 plus years. It's 45 years old. We're talking about
time.
Nearly 50 years for the Alien franchise to go. So Alien Romulus, something we've talked about before. We're both all in on. Is there anything we should be watching at home or not watching from home?
Well, this weekend there's a few streaming releases. Jackpot, the movie with that's directed by Paul Feig and starring Awkwafina and John Cena. I watched that one last night. I wouldn't. When I
saw that duo, my initial response was, I haven't seen the movie. Whatever. That kind of felt that way before I even saw it.
They're the strongest parts of the movie, but the jokes didn't land for me. A lot of the jokes didn't land for me. The concept is fine. The plot, whatever. It's an interesting enough plot, but it's a movie focused on this person who wins the lottery, but in this world, if you kill the person without using a gun, you get their lottery money.
Okay.
You have to do it before sundown of the day that they win.
So it's Purge.
It's Purge,
sort of Purge-esque thing.
Yeah.
And you can kill them, obviously, no repercussions, and your reward is getting the money.
As soon as you do, the people come in, award you the money, and that's it for the day. Everyone's done.
So this is about the point of view. Is it the point of view of the person who's trying to do the murdering, or the person trying to survive all the attempted murders?
Awkwafina is the one that's trying to survive, and John Cena is running a protection service for jackpot winners. So his whole goal is to defend people from all these murderous people.
Gotcha.
And they hijinks ensue from there, but the hijinks never reach any laugh out. I chuckled a couple times.
Okay.
Probably the funniest is the credits because they show the behind the scenes.
Got it.
And that shouldn't be the case when it's
I shouldn't have to wait an hour and 45 to get to the best parts of the movie.
No, it's like a solid 2 hours, I think, too. So it felt like it at least. So that's why it
dragged on from Michael.
Apparently. Yeah. No, I'm not really going to recommend that. It's out there for people if you like John Cena, Awkwafina, and Simu Liu. He's in it as well.
Cool.
The Union with Halle Berry and Mark Wahlberg premieres on Netflix.
Yeah.
That's another one where it's like, I can't necessarily recommend it. solid, but it's another one where you'll see it and forget about it in the next week. Bad Monkey with Vince Vaughn
on Apple TV.
On Apple TV Plus. The first 2 episodes are out now. But what I would recommend for people, Furiosa is on Max right now. Go watch that. That's top pick for the streaming wise. If you don't want to go to the theaters this weekend, watch Furiosa because that's a good movie.
I may check that out again. I've seen it in the theaters. Watching it from the comfort of my home, I probably will check that out this weekend as well. So that's Michael Carrell. He gave you some do's and don'ts as far as your weekend when it comes to watching things. And once again, if you want more in-depth stuff on what is going on in culture, pop culture, Comicast issue 551 is out now. You can also listen to that tonight, 9 to 10 on ESPN 975. Thank you, Michael, once again.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you next week.